Greetings and welcome everyone. A very warm welcome to September 2017's Earth Prediction series using the Psi cards. So if you've been following this prediction series, you will understand a little bit about how it works. It's based on the collective conscious energies that circle around the globe. The collective conscious energies are put out by all of us as humans as such, and these are the energetic vibrations that are able to be psychically picked up. It's also a little bit known as remote viewing as well, because we're kind of looking into issues potentially around the globe. So we use this deck of cards here, known as the Psi deck. I do a little bit of a shuffling for intent, and then we see what particular issues want to come out for September 2017. A lot of shuffling today, guys. Oh, and as I say it, it stops. Okay, first card out, the Moon. Second one, the Beauty reversed. Third one, the Prison. Fourth one, the Liar. Fifth one, the Scales. And the sixth one, Death. So a little bit unusual, given we have a card that had got itself upside down in the deck. We'll address that as we move into it. The Scales, I think, was here last time as well. And I know in August there was quite a lot of reference to issues or energies around New Zealand, and as it so turns out, we had a political upheaval as such, and we are moving into our elections in September this month. We have a very new candidate on the scene who particularly seems to be taking things by surprise. And in many ways it's no surprise, because we are in times of big evolutionary changes of systematic governance around the globe, especially things like governments and political agendas and financial agendas. But let's start off with that first card on the left, the Moon card. Now, we have just been through the big eclipses of the year in August, the 21st, and the earlier one on the 7th. Eclipses will be having an effect that is kind of like dropping a pebble in a pond. The actual wave from that spreads out and sometimes can grow bigger and stronger as it does. So I think the Moon card is telling us categorically that there is some sort of presence from the eclipse that occurred that is having a pull on us and is setting movements and motions and energies as we move forward through the rest of the year. The Moon The Moon often also suggests hidden agenda issues, so things that are done under the cover of night or undercover, and these can be unscrupulous events. So the first thing, of course, that comes to mind are the nuclear testing weapons that are going off from North Korea. He obviously hasn't finished that strategy yet, and he is aiming to do more and more of them, pushing further and further into the Pacific Ocean. So exactly how far he goes with that before there is a more calamitous action taking against him, we will have to wait and see. The Moon card can also be symbolic of bad weather around the times of a full moon. So it can also represent a very close moon to Earth, so a supermoon. Now, I haven't looked at the moment when the supermoons are for the year, but given that we have just crossed over into spring for us in the southern hemisphere and autumn for the northern hemisphere, those two particular climate or seasonal splits are often very tempestuous times in weather-related issues. So we can see a lot of spring and autumn weather that can be very inclement and quite storm-related. So the Moon definitely bodes all of those type of feelings. We also see the sea underneath it. It often talks of issues to do with the sea, so sometimes possibly quakes that originate in the sea, or large quakes that possibly even affect our seas, such as a movement of tsunami. The other thing it can represent, as I said before, which is something that's tied in with the supermoons, are things like really high king tides, so inland ingression of sea walls being made globally around the world, and so king tides, high tides, the pushing in of sea boundaries. This could also be from storm related activity, such as we have just seen down in Texas area and in Houston with the big storm surge that was there just from the pure amount of rain as well. So there's something symbolic here about water, again still for the month of September, given it's the first card. The other thing we see there is the crab, so this could also relate to areas on the globe around the Tropic of Cancer. So that's another thing or perspective that we can view with this particular card. Now we come to the next one, the beauty reversed. Because it's reversed, it makes me think that this could be a little bit more perfunctory in giving us a succinct message about a beauty. Beauty is often considered in this reading to be a female of importance in one way or another. For some of us, we may not think they're important, but they have some sort of global public figure, quite often a celebrity or a royalty or a politician. Now this card, because it often has the look and feel of very older part of the globe, and when I say that, guys, I mean where humans have resided for longer parts on the globe than others, such as Europe, or also particularly England. This looks to me quite English related. So it sometimes even suggests issues around London itself. That makes us think of the royalty of London and the females in that zone. So possibly the Queen or possibly the princesses that are there. I know actually today is Princess Diana's 20th death anniversary. So maybe the beauty card was turned upside down in some sort of acknowledgement of that. And this ties in a little bit to my a video from last week about synchronicity. You know, what is synchronicity? It's the exact day of the 20th year of Diana's death, and the beauty card is turned upside down, and I often refer to this as being symbolic of royalty in England. You know, so a lovely tie-in again for synchronicity and the messages that I gave in that particular video. But it could mean that there is something significant that does take place with our current public figures in that realm as well. So something to keep your eye out on. There's a possibility that maybe the Queen will make a move one way or another, or maybe she becomes ill, or maybe there's a pregnancy announced. That's a possibility. Maybe Theresa May, the Prime Minister for England, also has some issues that go on. There could be celebrities, unexpected celebrity deaths or severe issues as well. We come to the prison card right next door. We see this person trapped underground, very bereft and feeling trapped, literally. So this can be when people are stuck in places and they cannot get out, so stuck in buildings in particular. Again, right at the moment, what comes to mind are all the people down in the Houston part and the southern part of Texas who are suffering, you know, extreme traumatic 1 in 1,000 year storm. Hello, if you follow my understandings and knowledge of climate change, you will come to know that these events are going to be more and more and more common and more severe. Not only does the USA suffer from severe rain at the moment, but there are parts through Asia, especially in India and Mumbai, that are also suffering extreme heavy amounts of rain that are devastating cities and making hundreds of thousands of people homeless. So this is kind of like a global feeling at the moment, and I think that's why the moon over here and all the water in that card is really speaking and wanted to be first out. The prison can also represent literally prisoners and issues with prisoners. That can be anything globally. But what we also see in the background is the sun coming through the prison bars and shining down. So this often indicates activities with the sun. Now this can be, it could be flares, so we could see some flares directed towards Earth. It could be things that travel towards the sun, such as comets, sun-diving comets. It could be large spot activity on the sun, or it could be coronal hole activity. We may see significant auroras in and around September, both up in the northern and the Australis borealis. So the other thing is, when the sun is highly activated, it puts its energy often directed at us, and we suffer the consequences, some of which are severe storms again. So, a lot of this energy is talking to me about the continuation of tropical type energetic storm movements all around the planet. We come to the Liar, particularly horrible looking card really. The name Liar implies that definitely there are some lies going on, probably at the top level in political agendas within countries and governments, and also between government talks. So someone is saying they will do something when in fact they're not. So again, this hidden agenda feeling comes out with the card from the moon. The Liar often could represent those communist type energies, hiding facts, pretending things are this when they're not. So obviously North Korea comes first to mind, but remember there are other countries on the planet also doing activities that could make us want to watch them and see how they're interacting with ourselves and allies in the Western world and what they're hiding. The Liar also represents earthquakes because he is toppling and shuffling, and it's inside houses, and that's another slightly older looking card, the jester, the court jester through the European era. This could suggest earthquakes up and around the northern hemisphere and up through that European zone, spreading right in through to Asia as well. So whether or not they're land-based or sea-based, as was the suggestion over here, we'll have to wait and see. There is a degree of earthquake activity in these cards. The moon, the Liar and the scales all portend earthquake activity and movement. And these two, especially this one, suggests buildings affected. So houses, buildings, and we've got the people being trapped type thing. Moving on to the scales, we see this is a tree bearing fruit, which is usually autumn time of the year, and the northern hemisphere has moved into autumn. So something about things being out of balance up there in the northern hemisphere. Again, this can relate to earthquake activity and shaking, because we notice that some of the peaches or apples have fallen onto the ground. So that makes you think of shaking things off. So there could be a general shake-up coming. Again, earthquake related or political or financial even. But interestingly enough, when I see this tree, I have also often considered it to be involved with the southern hemisphere, and I haven't been able to rule that one out yet. So I still think there could be some shaking, some larger shakes down in the southern hemisphere for us as well. And when I say us, did I mean here in New Zealand? Well, I'm not sure why I said that. So perhaps I do, perhaps there's an inclination there as well. We come to this card, a rather gruesome card, and it has very rarely come out, actually probably only a few times in all the years I've been doing this readings. It's interesting that it's parked right below the prison card, because in many ways they match each other. This death knoll is has a door in it, and you would go into a cavernous tomb under a hill, and so you're underground again, and this is also this underground. So perhaps we see in the month of September some people literally trapped underground for some reason. Now this can be mines, when people do mining. It can be under the sea. It could be trapped in subways, things like that. It can be anything to do with underground. So it also makes me think of volcanic activity as well, because surging from under the ground and up, and that's a mountain there. Now, unfortunately, the death card in the few times that it has turned up have been linked with mass death events. There is a possibility in September that there will be some events where there are mass deaths. So we'll have to watch out, what type of things are we talking about here? I'm unsure. But it could be the fact when people are stuck together or trapped somewhere or trapped underground or unable to get away from something, or they're feeling as though they have nothing around them. So they could either be very hungry or out of water or out of food or clothing or essentials or power. So it could be something along those lines that causes this issue to happen. Going back just very briefly to the moon, the first card, I somehow in the back of my mind I'm getting a little bit of a message about boats here. And we've had a few boating issues in the last couple of months, mainly to do with like military boats having accidents and unfortunately people being loss of lives on them. But there could be more boating issues yet to come in September, so I hope not, because we've had our fair share of them lately. So there you are, guys. That is the September Psi Earth prediction remote viewing series for you all to take on board. Remember to leave your comments, your interpretations of what you think and feel as well, because I do read them all and I definitely take on board people's considerations and energies that they get for the cards, and so they all go in towards that melting pot of knowledge on how to actually do these readings. So you're all having your own input, and that actually takes the readings to their next advancement. You know, that's how we gain the meanings of the cards, is by the collective group of energies that put the answers in for it. So thanks, guys. Have a safe and happy September ahead. Thanks for viewing, subbing and liking. Take care, everyone. Namaste.